Philippa. We now move to Rupa Huck. Rupa.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks to our three witnesses. I wanted to ask about government communications. And we know that for businesses there will be unparalleled red tape, extra hassle. They've already come under pressure with their cash flow. It's going to touch driving licence, health insurance, passports. In the light of all that, what do you make of the government's Check, Change, Go campaign? How's that been received, and is it adequate? Richard Burnett, you were hinting at this in your opening remarks.
I guess my sense at the moment is that campaign is not driving people to urgently look at the processes that they need to pick up. I think as I talk to a lot of the industry and also many traders, that's really not, it's not getting the focus or the support. I think the big thing that we've also talked about on this call this morning is the EU and the communication with the EU, and the ability for us to ensure that the EU are ready to be able to trade with us. And I think that's slow in coming. And I think that the programs of communication, we go back to it, again, a roundtable yesterday saying that the first round of communication probably with traders and hauliers, again, is going to be in October. And the clock is ticking, in terms of business being able to prepare and business really understanding what's going on. So the brokers that I'm talking to, the customs, brokers that I'm talking to, are saying that there is certainly a sense of denial at the moment. That they're certainly feeling this confusion in the market where people don't feel that things are really going to happen because of so many false starts. And this may well lead to a significant rush, later in the year in terms of businesses really trying to find brokers and agents to be able to support their business. And I think this campaign, this communication campaign, is really not working at this stage.
Anna Jerzewska, what do you think? Check, Change, Go, is it doing it for you?
Yes. 2 points. One is, and that I've raised this earlier, we're not explaining enough in terms of what the responsibility is. If you look at the border operating model or notices, it tells a customer or the client, the trader, in the first 6 months, you just need to keep records. What records do you keep? How do you keep them? Do you only keep them for 6 months? Because that's what it sounds like right now. You, in reality, need to keep them for several years. And that's just an example of how it's not properly explained. In terms of the campaign itself, I've been looking at customs guidances, HMRC's customs guidances for a number of years, way before the referendum. We used to have very good guidance available on HMRC's website. It was very complete. It was very helpful, and there were some errors, but it was at a very high level. If you compare the guidance that we have now with the guidance that we had before the referendum, in terms of what's in there for any procedure, any issue, you can see that these guidances are rushed, and they're very high level. Even if you compare it to the guidances available on the same topic from the EU. So obviously, the EU has also issued to its businesses readiness notices, and the notices that they have versus the notices that we have, they don't necessarily compare. I think it's a question of time. I'm pretty sure it's a question of time. I know that our guidances can be much better, and I hope they will get better very soon, because if you look at the moment, all it says is get yourself a broker, check information, and that's it. That's not enough for traders to know what they need to do.
And Robert Hardy, you're Mr. Positive. Can you see something in this?
No. Check, Change, Go. And Sylvia, you said check, change, go. I didn't realise what the campaign was, to be fair. I'm not seeing enough fear in the market. We need to get a bit more fear so that the traders start to engage a little bit more, going back to Richard's point. I remember I was asked a couple of years ago, but on a Sky TV thing, was that what's a Brexit plan look like? And I said, it's the 7 stages of grief, and there's a lot of people still in the denial phase. And it is about, there's quite a lot of that going on still, where people just either are denying that this is probably going to happen, that this is likely to happen, or feel that if they do something about it, then they're helping it happen, and therefore they're doing nothing. So, sorry, Rupa, go on.
No, carry on. Finish what you were saying.
No, so I was expecting a kind of a shock and awe campaign about this is what's going to happen, but I'm not really seeing that so far.
I guess in part we don't really know if people are going to have to get ready for no deal again. Several times they've been told to do that. That may be happening. So there's a lot of question marks. But I mean, it sounds a bit like scissors, paper, stone, or I don't know, some kind of ready, steady, go 60s pop music show. However, this one is meant to come with some online tools. That there's a checker for every business to sort of put in. There's a tool, and there's one-off personal support that comes with it. Do any of the three of you know if that's working, if that's been taken up? I mean, to me, it looks like the worst government slogan ever, but if the other backup stuff is going with it, do we know what the response has been?
I've not got any response on it at all from anybody. Most people are calling us and asking for help. I go back to those two documents, those two how-to documents. They were very, very good, but I don't think they got enough coverage. They kind of slipped under the radar with the border operating model. I think they were attached to an email or something. You might also want to read these, where actually it should have been you only want to read these. They were good documents, but again, it's all down to, this is complicated, guys, go see an intermediary. And the poor intermediaries in the background going, thanks, we're absolutely inundated with inquiries now, but which is getting better. Look, the stronger the campaign, the more inquiries we get. We like the inquiries, but we can only deal with so many of them, and there's 145,000 traders or what have you. And the latest assessment was 60% of them aren't ready, which I think is quite generous. Generous in terms of 40% being ready.
Do we know if the hauliers or the other customs and trade people are using those online tools and stuff that come with it?
I don't know that they are particularly, no.
Richard and Anna, any soundings?
No.
I mean, sorry, Richard, go on.
Oh, go on, Anna, go on.
I just want to say something positive for a change. There are these two tools, one for exporting, one for importing, that kind of, I don't think they got enough press. I certainly didn't know about them until I was checking for up-to-date guidance. They're supposed to be, and they are a version of what we used to have with tariff, where we could check a commodity code, find the commodity code, and check what rules apply when you import into the UK. So we now have this for UK going forward. Unfortunately, obviously, the data for now is the current data, so this data will need to be updated on the 1st of January. And then market access tool, whereby an exporter from the UK can put in the country it wants to export, the product it wants to export, and it's going to see a number of not only tariffs, but non-tariff barriers that they need to comply with. I think these are very helpful. I don't think they're ready yet, as in there are still some issues with them, and I don't think they get enough press. And I also necessarily don't know whether without additional training, companies will be able to use them. But I think that's a good starting point. I just don't think they got enough press.
Yeah, I think £46 million was spent on Get Ready for Brexit exactly a year ago for the October the 31st deadline. And the NAO wrapped them on the knuckles because it was seen as a political slogan to excite people. But they found very high percentages of people did see it because it was on every newspaper wraparound, it was on billboards. Whereas it sounds like from the three of you, no one's even heard of this new one. Check, change, go.
I don't think it's through to, to businesses, and I think just going back to the point that Robert made earlier, which there's 145,000, possibly might be as high as 200,000 businesses that do trade with the EU at some point in time. Government are writing to 12,500 of those businesses because they believe that they are the biggest volume, within that number. So there's still a very high proportion of businesses that are not being written to, that need to get themselves prepared and ready, and even those that are being written to. Are they going to respond quick enough to the guidance and support that government is trying to offer? And that's going to happen in October. Again, the clock is ticking, and we're running out of time.
Yeah, I think not everything can be reduced into 3 words, and this one, as I say, is the worst one yet. At least take back control had some kind of meaning behind it, but this is very mysterious to me. Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you very much indeed.